Welcome to ABBA magazine. The 12th round of the competition is over, and there have been no changes at the head of the table. Budućnost and Mega recorded wins in overtime, but the games in Zagreb and Celje were also dramatic. Today we will introduce you to Marin Rozic. And as usual, we saved the best for last, with top 5 plays of the round and some smashing blocks. Igor Jovovic is no longer the head coach of Budućnost. According to the official statement, he resigned for personal reasons, leaving the league's leading team after 2.5 years in charge. The Montenegrin champions' new coach is Luka Pavicevic. The 47-year-old had led teams from Serbia, Greece, Germany and France during his career, and the most recently held a head coaching position with the Montenegro's national team. Budućnost also made some additions to the roster. With Devo Joseph out with injury, Doron Lamb will fill in at shooting guard. The 24-year-old won the NCAA championship with the University of Kentucky in 2012 and played some minutes for Milwaukee and Orlando in the NBA. He will remain in Podgorica until the end of the season. Marko Simonovski is no longer a member of MZT Skopje. The team parted ways with the captain on mutual consent. Simonovski played in the first 4 games of the season before injury prevented him from taking further part in the Macedonian team's campaign. In a game filled with drama, CDVita defeated Partizan 75-72 in Zagreb. This was CDVita's fantastic 5th win in a row and a 9th win of the season. The black and white team had a shot to win the game, but sorely missed Aleksandar Cvetkovic, who joined Andrić and Murić on the injured list. Petar Božić suffered his 8th ABA League defeat as the head coach of Partizan. Kevin Jones played another great game, leading his team to a 16-3 run and a 9-point lead. But at the beginning of the second quarter, the Croatian champion responded in force. Veljko Mršic's men used turnovers to spark an 11-2 series, but despite Walker's efforts, the boys from Belgrade kept a minimal advantage at the halftime. The third period was very dramatic, with CDVita managing to hold on to a slight lead up until the very end. But it was Partizan who started the fourth period in the lead. However, Henry Walker scored a 3-pointer to give his team a 7-point lead, and the home team was at the brink of overpowering their rivals. But with swift 3-pointers by Magdevski and Andjušić, the black and white team ensured a breathtaking finish. Andjušić was one who missed an opportunity to lead Partizan to triumph. The score was 71-71 when he missed a field goal and later on missed one of his free throws. This would open the door for Pullen to determine the outcome of another spectacular finish. The American missed a number of shots, but none in the crucial moments of the game. He scored 12 points, most of them at the very end. Miro Bilan added 13 points for the winning team, and Walker finished the game with 11 points. Kevin Jones was the game's top scorer with 21 points, while Vitkovac chipped in with 10 in the losing effort. Luka Pavicevic was triumphant in his debut as the head coach of Budućnost in the very first Montenegrin derby in ABA League. A dramatic duel with Sutjeska in Podgorica went into overtime, with the league-leading team snatching the 10th victory this season. At the beginning of the game, it seemed that the last-placed team in the competition stood no chance to come up with a sensational win in Morača Hall. Budućnost quickly went up 5-0, and in the 5th minute of the game, the scoreboard read 16-6 for the home team. The first period ended with Budućnost up by 8. Sutjeska responded with a 10-2 run and got within 2, but the hosts hit back with an 8-0 series. A stir-up on the visiting bench ensued, and the coach Dusan Dubljević promptly sent his backup point guard Nikola Korac to the locker room. The game continued with scoring runs from both sides, but Budućnost held on to a 7-point lead at the halftime. The game flow stayed the same in the second half, with Sutjeska scoring 11 unanswered points and grabbing the lead for the first time. Budućnost was able to restore the lead for a short while, but at the end of the third period, the visiting team held a 5-point advantage. 4 minutes into the fourth period, Spasojević scored the first field goal for the team from Nikšić, but Omar Cook woke up in the rivaling team. With the score tied at 75, Spasojevic's shot beyond the 3-point line was on target, but the captain of Budućnost, Suad Šehović, hit back with a 3 from the corner. Both sides missed a few opportunities for the win, the visitors' best by Nemanja Vranješ, and the game went into overtime. Sutjeska came out stronger in the additional 5 minutes of the game and was quickly up by 5, but Budućnost took advantage of Get's fatigue and their lack of focus on defense and stole the lead. Pavličević's three-pointer ended the opposing team's 7-point run, and Sutjeska was up 86-85. Budućnost hit back with a 2 from Rikić, while on the other side, the former member of Budućnost, Aleksa Popović, missed 2 opportunities to bring his team back in the lead. Sead Šehović couldn't come up with points for his team either, but it wouldn't go on to haunt him as Nikola Žižić missed an open-look 3. With 3 seconds left, Omar Cook calmly drained both free throws to give Budućnost a 3-point lead. On the other side, Pavličević got the first one from the line in, missed the second one on purpose, but Suad Šehović grabbed the rebound to secure the victory for Budućnost. The home team shot 37 free throws compared to only 15 for Sutjeska, enough to remain undefeated in Morača this season. Marin Rozic is one of the players with the longest spell in ABA League, winning everything there was to win with Cibona, the Croatian Championship, the National Cup, and to top it all off, the sensational ABA League Championship in 2013-2014, when no one expected Cibona would do so. He will be remembered for lifting the only trophy the club was lacking in all competitions they took part in. The captain of the Zagreb team reminisces on the start of his career. I started playing basketball in Mostar when I was 14, which is pretty late, and it was by chance. Then I transferred to Zagreb, a team known for developing young players. Unfortunately, nowadays the situation is different. After playing for a while as a junior, I spent a year in Zrinjevac, and I went to the Italian club Livorno, where I stayed for a season. Then came a call from Cibona and I couldn't say no, so here I am today. The 31-year-old joined the club in 2004. He experienced some good and some very hard moments in his 12 seasons with the most successful team in Croatia's history. How does he explain such a long stay in Zagreb? Different circumstances influenced that. Also, I started playing basketball in order to play for Cibona and the national team. Playing for Cibona is a dream come true for me. Simply put, the situation unfolded that way. I suffered an injury. In the end, I have chosen to stay here, and I believe I'll stay until the end of my playing career. At one point, Rozic was a part of the Croatian national team where he represented his country at the Olympics in 2008 and the Eurobasket the year before that. Who are the toughest opponents he faced in his career? There were really some awesome players. I remember Tony Parker while he was still playing in EuroLeague. He specifically stayed in my memory as one of the best players in EuroLeague. I would say he was one of the toughest. Then there was Pau Gasol. His career in the national team is amazing. Then Dirk Nowitzki. He was literally unstoppable. When he's on, your presence is totally irrelevant. He is either on target or not. Once again, Rosic leads a team full of young and talented players, as it was the case in the previous seasons as well. He scores an average of 8 points per game along with 5 rebounds. In his opinion, what are the chances of his team in further competition in ABA League? We made some misjudgments in the beginning of the season. Then there was some bad luck as well. The roster was completed late. If we had this roster from the beginning, I think that we would be in a very different situation right now. Also, we spent a great deal of this first part of the season on the road. In the next part, we will have 10 home games. I really believe in this team and I think that we will be fighting for a top 4 position in the end. Despite the fact that the leaderboard tells a different story at the moment. We've lost some games due to bad luck, and I believe that we will make up for it in the future. Does he wish to stay in Cibona for the rest of his career? Definitely. I've spent so much time here, and I really believe and hope that I will be here until the end. Crvena Zvezda recorded the biggest blowout victory in the 12th round. In front of a crowd of 4,000 in Pionir, the defending champions defeated Cibona 75-58. The team from Zagreb came to Belgrade without the injured Ante Žižić, and the home team hasn't had a full roster for some time now. An age-old rivalry was one-sided. After scoring 12 unanswered points, the red and white team took a double-digit lead in the 7th minute and held on to it all the way throughout the game. The whole match, especially in the first half, was marred by turnovers. Dejan Radonjic's men scored easily on fast breaks and held an excellent field goal percentage, unlike the boys from Zagreb who were struggling with a 20-30% field goal percentage. Marko Simonovic was the only player in both teams who excelled from long range. After a series of 3-pointers provided by Simonovic at the end of the second period, Crvena Zvezda had a 21-point lead, whereas Cibona finished the first half with only 21 points scored. During the third quarter, the red and white team reached its biggest lead, 51-27, but Cibona was awarded with 20 free throws and they used it to cut the lead. However, Slaven Rimac's men couldn't come in closer than 12 points and the home team came out with the 9th win of the season. Marko Simonovic was the home team's top scorer with 19 points. Stefan Jovic also had a good game with 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists and 4 turnovers. The only one who stood out for the guests was Marko Jagodic Kuriđa with 21 points. Florence did have a double-digit score with 12 points, but was 3 for 11 from the field and had 6 turnovers. Cibona suffered their 3rd defeat in a row. After 4 road games, they will finally play a game in Zagreb, where they will host the league's top team Budućnost. The youngest team in the league needed an overtime to continue its hot streak, but Megalex found a way to defeat Krka 84-77. The visiting team arrived to Sremska Mitrovica without their head coach Ivan Velic, who was absent for personal reasons. Under the guidance of the assistant Vladimir Anzulovic, Krka made a strong statement in the opening minutes of the game. Jure Lalic dominated in the paint, and with a great 3-point percentage, the team from Novo Mesto scored 26 points and gained a 10-point lead in the first period. However, Dejan Milovic's team once again managed to come back from a double-digit deficit after the halftime break and take the lead. After 4 3-pointers in the first period, Krka only managed to get another 2 until the final buzzer, overtime included. Luvavu sparked a 9-0 run, handing the hosts their first lead on the night. The rest of the game was just as tight, with Megalex leading most of the time by up to 7 points. Both teams had trouble scoring from the 3-point line. Offensive rebounds were unusually frequent in this game, the hosts coming down with 24, while Krka recorded 13 rebounds under the opponent's rim. The lead changed hands in the final period, with Mega holding a 2-point advantage into the final minute. Dejan Milovic planned for his team to have a final offensive play, instructing his team to foul Royce, who leveled the score 71-71, but Ivanovic missed the winning shot and the game went into overtime. In the final 5 minutes, Krka took the lead, but Ognjen Jaramas took the initiative for Megalex, handing them their 9th victory of the season. Home team's top scorer was Luvavo with 20 points, but it took him 18 attempts to reach it. Jaramas chipped in with 14 points, while Jankovic recorded 12 rebounds in addition to his 13 points. Krka's best player was Stefan Sinovic with 17 points, 10 rebounds and 7 assists. Lalic gave his all once again, adding 20 points in the team's 6th defeat of the season. In Zadar, Igokea missed an opportunity to record an important win. Home team didn't start off well, while on the other side Chapin was in great form. The visiting team started the second quarter with an 8-point lead and stretched it to 13 after a run of 5 points by Nemanja Krstić, making his season debut coming off an injury. After coach Nazor called for a timeout, Zadar made a comeback, but Igokea held on to the lead thanks to the host's abysmal 3-point shooting percentage. With 9 seconds left in the first half, after a personal and a technical foul by Barac, Igokea missed 2 out of their 3 free throws. Then Marko Ramljak intercepted an inbound pass followed by a personal foul by Radenovic. Ivan Ramljak scored a 3-pointer to reduce the deficit to just 6 points. In the third period, Zadar turned the game around, holding the guests to only 6 points in this quarter. Igokea couldn't hit a single 3-pointer until the very end of the game. In the meantime, Zadar scored after offensive rebounds and fast breaks following great defensive plays. Glenn Cozy found his shooting form in the key moments during the final period, scoring all of his 9 points in the fourth quarter. Shango and Delash chipped in with consecutive 3-pointers, giving Zadar a commanding lead into the final minutes of the game. Igokea threatened with an 8-point run by Krstić, but the hosts held on to a 69-60 final score, recording their 7th victory of the season and 6th in the last 7 games. Their top scorer was Ivan Ramljak with 12 points and 8 rebounds, while Filip Kraljevic scored 10 with perfect 5 for 5 from the field, all in the first half, fouling out in the second. The top scorers in Igokea's 7th defeat were Krstić and Dimic. Krstić hit all 3 of his 3-point attempts, while Dimic missed all 6 of his. Zadar had a total of 7 3-pointers out of 32 attempts, while Igokea scored the same, but with 9 less attempts. Dario Šarić left a mark in the history of the ABA League, being named the youngest ever league MVP. Born on April the 8th in Šibenik, Dario drew attention to himself as a 16-year-old after he won the gold medal with the under-16 national team and was named MVP of the European Championship. He will go on to win the EuroLeague Junior Tournament and make his ABA League debut with Zagreb at the tender age of 17. Following yet another successful summer with the under-18 national team, a gold medal and the MVP title at the European Championship, he joined the ranks of Cibona. His first season would end with a national championship and the Croatian Cup trophy. The following would be his breakout season, even though the club was in turmoil in 2013 and 2014. When Slaven Rimac took over as coach, Šarić found himself in a role of a team leader and answered with 17 points and 10 rebounds per game, taking the absolute underdog to the Final Four in Belgrade. In the semi-finals, he would prove worthy of being named the league's MVP at the age of 20 with a brilliant performance. He led Cibona to a shocking upset of Crvena Zvezda with 21 points and 15 boards. Winning the club's very first ABA League championship ring was just the icing on the cake for the MVP of the Final Four. In the championship game, he seemed unstoppable against Cedevita, putting up 23 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists and 4 blocked shots. Orlando selected Šarić with the 12th pick in the 2014 NBA draft and shifted his rights to Philadelphia in a trade for Elfrid Payton. Šarić chose to stay in Europe with Anadolu Efes. Under the watchful eye of coach Dusan Ivkovic, he already received EuroLeague's Player of the Month award. We haven't heard the last from him, but surely that one April in Belgrade will forever remain an important chapter in the growing legend of Dario Šarić. Union Olimpija's streak of 5 defeats in ABA League came to an end with an overpowering performance against Metalac 76-62 in Stožice in the first game of the 12th round. The home team's coach Gašper Potočnik once again couldn't count on his point guard Zach Wright. The game opened up with points from both sides, but by the end of the first period, the hosts got the 12-point lead through Zakis and Mesicek. The score was 21-9. In the second period, the team from Ljubljana held on to the lead, with the scoreboard reading 38-28 at the halftime. The power forward of Metalac, Tomislav Gabric, scored 3 3-pointers and kept the visiting team in the game. Bakic provided assistance, and Vladimir Đokic's men got to within 6. But at the end of the third period, Miha Lapornik scored, and Olimpija was up 55-46. The final period of the game had many twists and turns. The visitors managed to decrease their deficit to only 3, but Olimpija's Luka Rupnik scored several very important points in the pivotal moments of the game, and the home team came out with their 5th victory this season. The credits definitely go to Rupnik, who scored 17 points and had 8 assists, while Lapornik and Lesic added 13 each, while the most efficient players in the defeated team were Bakic and Gabric with 17 points. A bad season for MZT only got worse after the match in Celje, Slovenia, where Typhoon once again protected the home court. The Slovenian champions opened the game with a 9-2 run, but by the end of the first quarter, the Macedonians reduced their lead to only 2 points. Both teams had a poor field goal percentage and a great number of turnovers, but in spite of that, the boys from Skopje managed to take the lead 32-31 at halftime. Typhoon picked up speed in the third quarter, which is usually the breaking point for MZT. The hosts' 6 unanswered points were interrupted by Duško Bunic, but Typhoon followed up with another 6-point run. At the beginning of the final quarter, Dan Mihev's men had a 7-point advantage, but MZT didn't give up. After Lukovic's 3-pointer, they were only a point away, and in the last minute, teams were neck to neck. With 15 seconds left, Protic missed a layup over Bolčina, and after that, the guests couldn't keep up with their opponent anymore. MZT's point guard missed a 3-pointer, and Bolčina calmly took his free throws to end the game at 68-62. He scored 19 points and added 8 rebounds, including Typhoon's only first half 3-pointer and one of only 3 the team scored during the remainder of the game. Bratos finished the game with 12 points, but the biggest disappointment of the match was Sandi Čebular. After averaging 23 points in the previous 3 games, he ended this one with mere 7. Typhoon couldn't rely on shots from long range to get the third win in a row, but neither could the guests, who shot only 3 for 16 from the 3-point line. Marko Lukovic shot a perfect 2 for 2 from the 3-point range, and with 12 points he was MZT's top scorer, while Drenovac and Bunic finished the game with 10. This was MZT's 5th consecutive defeat, and for the 6th time this season, the team couldn't score more than 70 points. The 12th round's MVP is Tadija Dragičević. Budućnost power forward played a wonderful game against the local rival Sutjeska. Dragičević spent 40 minutes on the court and was the team's top scorer with 21 points. He also grabbed 13 rebounds with 5 assists and 2 steals for a performance index rating of 30. We begin our top 5 countdown in Sremska Mitrovica. Nikola Janković provided the assist and Simeunović put the finishing touch on Megalek's fast break. Quincy Miller seems to be in the running for the title of ABA League's best blocker. In Crvena Zvezda's triumph over Cibona, he guarded the rim vigorously, much to the frustration of Jagodić Kuriđa and Florence. Olimpija finally ended the string of defeats, with Blaž Mahković providing the play of the night in Stožice. Scoring is never easy when Marko Ramljak is guarding the rim. Zadar's players stood out with blocks on Čapin and Komatina. In a round marked by blocked shots, the best one was the work of Henry Walker. Cedevita's latest addition did a great job stopping Partizan's Jamar Wilson dead in tracks. Thank you for watching another edition of ABBA Magazine. See you again next week when we focus on the 13th round of the season.